Welcome, guys. Good morning. Welcome to FYI. I am Sharad. Manzo Walton is here.
Good morning, guys, and welcome,
Yes,
welcome. Let's know where you're joining us from.
Please let us know.
September
22nd already. It's running, guys. It's running for us.
How many more days before Christmas?
Oh Lord, you see the place that getting dark already?
Yes.
Is that coming on to Christmas, or is that tropical storm that's impending?
Yeah,
one of the
we're
two.
Tracking all of those.
Yeah.
Guys, come on in. Remember to share the live. Smash that emoji.
Pull up a cup of something.
We have Mr. John Jones is already with us. Beatrice says good morning, Sheridan Amanza. As you know, Joretta's
morning to you too.
Week she'll be back next week.
Morning to you.
Morning, Beatrice. Yeah. Morning, Afifa Mohammed from Oxford. How are you in those parts of FIFA? Good morning.
How's it going there?
Good morning.
Good to have you guys. Good
to have you guys. Yeah. It's a. I'm not sure whether it's a sunny morning in Georgia or it's cloudy.
No, it's kind of it's cloudy.
It's
overcast.
A mix because the sun is shining brightly in some parts, and then some parts are overcast.
Yeah.
And so we see Philip Nassi is joining us from Delaware, USA.
We're so happy.
Natasha Congrees. Marlene Thomas said, "Good morning, Sheridan Amanza. Hope you we rest well." Yeah. One thing we don't do is lose sleep.
at all. We come out with little tea.
Yes.
With little tea, sometimes with little brackish, as you know, sugar up and scarce. Lots of things scarce. Paper scarce now. GRA out of paper. Passport office out of paper. Water giving us problems. We can talk about water just now. Might got some water shortages very shortly too. So a couple things we're tracking. Yep.
Good morning, guys, says Imelda Huggins. Good morning, Imelda.
Yeah. Good morning,
Imelda. Coppin Williams.
Favorite folks.
Yes. The family is all here. Shawnette Blackman says good morning, watching from Brooklyn. How is it in Brooklyn, Shawnette? I hear that the weather is in full fall effect.
The weather outside is
look, Lynn says Brooklyn in the house. It's raining here with heavy thunderstorms.
Oh wow.
Gloria Chester says good morning, FYI family.
Wow.
Aisha Wong says good morning, guys. We are so happy, to be able to join you this morning.
Happy Bigley. Bigley happy. You see, Bigley might be going to jail. Talk about some of the jail.
A lot is happening.
Prison.
Yep. A lot is happening. Gail Alicock says, good morning, FYI family. Some rain in New Jersey. Yeah. I must check to see if Gail and I are related. A lot of people don't know that I'm an Alicock. So. Yes, Gail, we must check that out.
Yeah.
Marlon Trim says, good morning, watching from Jamaica.
Oh, wow. Which part? Nickel? Only part to know.
Or Montego Bay.
Yeah, it's true. There's a lot of parts.
Natasha Congraves. Good morning. Yeah. Margaret says good morning from the Low Country, South Carolina.
Oh, I thought you judged touch below sea level here. I judge you because
Marlon says he is in Kingston, Jamaica.
Oh yes.
Afifa says,
there's that
Amanda and Sherrod, continue to do the good work you're doing. It's so much easier for the good folks like yourself who stop by to encourage us.
Yes.
Folks like Ingrid King. We see Ingrid Rochan come in. Good morning. And Lyndon Jones.
Beautiful people. The people.
Beatrice says it's raining in Queens. The thunder is rolling. Wow.
I've never been in Queens when it rains. Is it always cold? Because I think they're going into autumn now. Or it's always very hot. It's never raining. So send us a photograph.
Lola Grenade says
right now we're alleging a lot of things. From Barbados? Yeah. Alleging a lot of things even raining. Yep. Makila says it's raining too. Where are you, Miss Coates? Look names. Makila Andrews Coates. Andrews.
Okay. Yes.
See that? You take up Facebook space with 5 people there.
Lyndon Rayfield, good morning to you and
Marlene watching us from Turkey. Yeah. Good.
She says, Natasha says it's sunny in Sheffield, but it's not warm. Somebody said Guyana Amazon Warriors win, hip hip hooray, like the Oyo people were.
Okay.
Did you see the photo?
No.
There was a photo on social media with 2 people dressed up in, traditional wear with holy water and one with a Bible. was quite a scene. It was quite a scene there last night.
You know, Will Ferry, you know.
Yeah.
You know, a Shakespeare quote coming to mind. We're poor players who start our stuff on the stage, but for a time, and then. And then we got it. You know.
Right. Michaela says she's in New Jersey. Nicole Cole, good morning to you.
Commissioner Cole, how are you doing?
Magnell says fall starts today.
Yeah.
Well, is either sun or rain.
Yeah. It's fall.
Sun or rain.
Yeah.
Petula Boy says it's 12 degrees in Kitchener, Ontario.
Wow.
And she gave us an emoji.
But I don't know so much about Ontario, but I know some parts of the West fall. It's a beautiful time. My God. It's like a piece of heaven on earth. You see those trees changing colors and stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's a sight to behold, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're all shades of purple.
Love it.
Really, really beautiful. Simone Hooper says, good morning, all. Audrey Bristol says, from Linden.
Yeah, from the utilities company.
You're supposed to be at the people walk.
Independent Republic. They open this morning. Yeah. They open this morning. Y'all open there?
Good luck, guys.
Boy. Yeah.
Let us know if you're back to work.
And guys, sorry, let me let Manzo finish.
No, you please.
Let the emojis be consistent with the viewers. Right? We trailing with emojis. We trailing. Let us know how you're feeling this morning in those emojis.
Right.
Lyndon Moore and all the other folks. Elizabeth Howard. I never met a bad Elizabeth. They're always kind of good people. Elizabeths. At least the ones that I know. Let pull that out. At least the ones that I know.
I don't know any Elizabeth.
Right? Yeah.
I know Liz's, but no Elizabeth except Elizabeth that joins us here in the morning.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And the
Keith Farley
the late
from Maryland.
Queen, of course. Hey Keith, how is it in Maryland?
Yeah. Good to have you. Good to have all of you wonderful folks.
Audrey says she's sitting out here. Okay.
We open the door just now. We open the door. Where's out here, Audrey?
Outside of LUSCSO.
Yeah?
Outside of LUSCSO.
Oh, I see. I see. That's what we got to do.
Marlene said there's a protest there this morning, guys. And we're going to be following that. There's just so much to unpack this morning.
Yeah.
But, share the live stream.
Lots to
smash the emoji button.
And let's get out of it. Like the British.
Magnell says, I love when you say Magnell and not Magnell Barrow.
Okay.
No problem, Magnell.
Okay.
Gary Rowe says, good morning from the East Bank Essequibo.
Oh, nice.
Listen, guys. Share the live. There's so much that we want you to know this morning. There's a lot happening. So share the live and smash that emoji button.
Yes, do that for us.
There's so much.
Plenty. Enough.
Stanbone said, boom, morning. Those are fun.
We said 39, 41.
Good morning. Edward Gonzalez from the Bronx. Hey, Edward. Good morning. And we see Mr. Ernest Elliott. Paul
says you wear a nice color.
Oh, thank you,
Is this
Paul.
mustard?
It's mustard.
Okay, good. I'm wrong. It's like broke.
Or gold.
It's like gold. But it's mustard. All right, good.
Guys, Rocket come in. Daniel's
broken glass can be right twice a day.
Long Beach, California. I suspect that might be. Sasha Trim says, good morning to the FYI family.
You should not a person who should not be named by me at least. Second from the bottom. Who shall not be named by
He who will remain on Good morning back to you.
He AM
Dwayne
in the morning.
Says things tight.
Yeah,
it says pace and power, guys.
It is.
And that's what we come to you to do every morning, every day.
Share.
Alex make y'all know. I share already. I lime here.
Oh, man, Alex get the one up on your man.
Come on.
Right? Come on, Agri. Come on. You shall not be there. Come on. Ayabo is in touch. Ayabo's in touch. You see, things are fast. Moving in London in them parts,
Yes.
If you don't wait. If you miss the bus, you miss the bus. You miss the bus.
Catching up to do.
You have to do a job,
Leslie says she's back in the US. She misses us, though.
Oh, we miss you too.
Leslie.
We miss you too. We'd rather be where you are, but we're here. We can hold it down on this side.
We hold it down on this side.
Yeah.
You better get well soon. We miss seeing you.
Yeah.
I'm sure she's tuned in and she's seeing your.
You try to think it's flu, but this and the symptoms, low back pain, nausea. I think, But
Uncle Sherrod.
but she thinking it's flu, right? Let me see.
But Dr.
Right?
Duncan here has a different.
You know, there's a Kenny Rogers song with the coal miners down. They said the truth was bound to show before too long. The love had started growing on its own. You know, the truth is bound to show before too long.
When we say these things, we start to age us.
And we always outpace truth. Oh, the truth was bound to show. We know a lot of things, right? If you have changed the name of country one day, you don't expect us to know the next day, right? And now we seem to have the pronunciation wrong. So we get plenty of things.
Yeah, but so guys, you know, we wanted to address that situation head on because, you know, a few days ago we made light.
It's a content situation.
But we made light of the president's attempt to pronounce Turkey's new name. And whilst we may argue that he didn't get it right, the fact is that we did not get it right on this end because Turkey had in fact changed its name and has officially requested from the UN that it be that the new name be used. And so we here at the FYI program, we are committed to bringing you valid and credible information. And so we apologize for that without equivocation, and we will continue to be committed to bring you valid and credible information because, as we always say, informed citizens make informed decisions. And so with that being said, guys, share the live, smash that emoji button because there is so much going on. There's so much that we have to get into.
A lot on the morning paper this morning.
In the morning
a lot.
Paper, share it.
Quite a couple of things we want to share with you guys. We're watching this situation at GCOM. They've appointed a new assistant CEO and the opposition members, the opposition appointed commissioners are not in agreement. And it's yet another occasion where we see, for instance, the chair of GCOM voting with the PPP. Again, the rationale with the opposition appointed commissioners is the fact that they are more qualified persons who can hold the post. And of course, you always want the best people in there, and that was their decision not to support the choice currently of the assistant commissioner, the assistant chief elections officer there. But the chair voted with the PPP.
Well, you know, look, we can't accuse this government of wanting the most qualified people in positions. You look throughout the public sector, you would see that they have continued to deprive them of their most qualified. Look at GPL, for example. Look at GPL. GPL was doing very, very well. You will recall it under the coalition, blackouts seemed to be a thing of the past. What was the first order of business of the government?
They bring back.
They brought back a man that they had fired. That they fired for incompetence. They brought him back and sent someone, put someone in and sent someone who was properly qualified. Look at the EPA. They stripped the EPA of its most qualified head that it has ever had to bring back somebody that was fired from the EPA.
Definitely not qualified.
For lack of competence, among other things. So you see it all across the sector. If you were to map some of the agencies, you will see that they're bringing back people who were fired for things like theft and misappropriation. They're now back in key positions. And so this is not surprising that they don't want, you know, the most qualified candidate,
competent folks
for the job.
And that's just one of the things, folks, that we're following this morning on the morning paper. We're so happy that Ayabo is here and Granette and all the other folks, Angeli and Myron Trim, joining us this morning. One of the other issues that we're looking at is this gold heist, and there are some more persons who have been arrested overnight concerning this. I mean, to have raw gold of this quantity, just, you know, kind of like unattended, basically. And, you know, these days, where can you find good help? Policemen have been implicated with this. 400 million heist. They recovered some vehicles. They say they've recovered about 6 ounces of gold, some cash to boot. But more and more people are being drawn into this, and wow, 400 million.
But you know what's interesting? I was following Gordon's page last evening, and it appears that there is some reluctance to name the virtual complainant in the case. And unless it is a child, I cannot recall that there is basis for not naming a VC who claims that I have been robbed. It's very, very disturbing because, of course, the question arises, there are regulations. The gold board has certain regulations about declaring quantities of gold, etc.
400 million in gold is a lot of gold.
The question arises.
As News described the woman as a hoarder.
As a hoarder. And so the question arises, is this why we're having a fall in the declaration of gold? Because they're not being declared through the proper channels, but are being, the gold is being hoarded. There's so many questions, and I think a transparent investigation will warrant that. Who the virtual complainant is. At a bare minimum. This is not private information. Look, you can look to the US to see what's going on right now. The former president Trump is embroiled in legal battles, and you don't see them taking the posture of not naming defendants or virtual complainants to a case. So really, there is a lot more that has to be sorted out on that.
Yeah. And what was clearly, worth 400. Well, let me, before we come up with this matter, it's interesting. The period in which this gold went missing, that is now recently. This was sometime between late last year and early this year, but it's only now being uncovered. Which says to me, how do you not know the 400 million you had in gold missing? That seemed like it'd be like a small piece. It was quite interesting. But as we continue to follow these issues, we also tracking that Ramesh Prasad, a laborer, has got 6 months jail for the theft of 100 pounds of ginger. Clearly, he keeping the wrong thief and friends, because him and I are telling them, boys, 400 million. 100 pounds of ginger. What do you do with that? You got to resell it. Clearly, you don't cook ginger every day in them kinds of quantity. 100 pounds of ginger. But then again, based on the cost of living, about ginger fetch in the market now.
The man might have
400 million. 100 pounds of ginger. But we always see here, guys, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime at all. 6 months.
For 100
pounds of ginger, But it's sad in a sense, because we see all kinds of other things happening in our country where theft is concerned, and even if it's not theft, movements of narcotics, for instance.
Exactly.
Who was ever jailed for a month with the 2 tons of coke that was shipped to Belgium, and then you had another 1,100 pounds to the Netherlands, and so on.
Well, we haven't even heard of any progress on our end of the investigation. We know that it said that this massive shipment of coke emanated from Port Georgetown, but we in Georgetown, Guyana, we have absolutely no updates on the progress of that investigation. What is the extent of the cooperation between our authorities?
You're so right. You're so right.
Like, there's nothing, and so you continue to see a system where the poor and the small man, justice appears to be very swift for them. But you have a vice president embroiled in a scandal of international proportions, and you see no attempts being made to have any level of accountability. So it's quite sad the way in which we choose to hold people accountable, and what we hold accountable, vis-a-vis what we allow to slide.
Yep. It's quite interesting, though. Quite interesting how the law seems to apply differently to different folks, and
Absolutely.
the law must be applied, and he should serve whatever time the court doles out to him. But when you look at the other side, as the man has clearly articulated, you don't see the same kind of what the justice would say, the same kind of urgency, the same kind of urgency to pursue some other matters. But that's one of the other things that we're following, guys, on the morning papers today. Another issue that we're looking at is the what's happening with GWI. We did say paper scarce, sugar scarce. You know, ginger, if you keep thieving out in them quantities, is going to be scarce soon enough. But at GWI, they are telling us that, you know, it was a hearing of the Public Utilities Commission quite recently, and Sheikh Bash is being asked to bring down the reconnection fee for those persons who would have been disconnected for one reason or the next and want to reconnect. I think it's about 7,000. Let me get it right.
Yeah, 7,000.
It's about $7,000, 7,500. Yeah. And one of the consumer advocate bodies are asking them to bring it down to a very minimal fee. And Sheikh Bash revealed that if they do that, they could send, because they are so cash strapped, just after 2 years, they could put the agency GWI into bankruptcy, which is going to affect the flow and distribution of water. Interestingly enough,
it's very, very interesting to me, because we have to be able to understand where our monies are being spent. We have a lot of money being spent on infrastructure. We have a lot of roads being built, but here you are saying that citizens have to bill what really is an exorbitant amount of money for a reconnection fee.
Yeah.
Because the reality is that a public servant earning $78,000 can barely afford to put food on their table, get themselves to work, get them children to school, get their children to school, pay rent on that.
Correct.
And so it's a toss-up with a water bill and a light bill. So I think the government, as we've been saying, we have to look at ways in which we can support our population in this issue of utilities. You know, whether it's some kind of rebate, you know, for low-income families, we need to see some level of creativity so that we can, you know, have a country where people can have a livable way.
It's interesting.
Things tight.
It seems that, you know, they were very vocal about, I think, taking some tax off of water, reducing something when they came in that regard. But they seem to have tried to recoup whatever costs you missed there in this exorbitant reconnection fee.
No, but that's interesting.
7.5.
No, but that is interesting because you remember that they made a big fuss about we put VAT on water and so on, but what they did not say is that VAT only applied to a certain level of consumption. And so the average person, the average household, that VAT was not put on there. So they didn't reach the amount of consumption to activate that VAT charge. Now they have completely taken that away, but the people, the average household, is now saddled with a 7,500 reconnection fee.
And that's the situation. That's the situation at the moment, and one of the issues that we are following, folks, and we are ready to get into the morning brew to show you what's brewing internationally, locally, and then on to the big issue, folks. A lot of stuff happening internationally we think you guys ought to know about. And the first up, folks, Russia. We're still watching this whole engagement with Russia and the Ukraine. And now, again, Russia has begun this massive war call-up, as they call it, basically telling, bringing the reserves together. Clearly, by this gesture, Russia did not prepare for the kind of resistance that they would have gotten
from Ukraine. And so when you look at the fact that they're now calling up persons, men and women from 18 to, what is it, I believe, 50, 60.
I'm not clear.
Yes, they're calling, men and women up to war, to the battle lines. And it's amazing, I think, what is unfolding before our eyes, because we have a country led by Ukraine. You have a country in the form of Ukraine, led by, for all intents and purposes, a president that people would have viewed as not having the requisite experience. But here he is putting on quite a resistance. And so it's very, very interesting, and we're going to keep following it, because we keep making the point that every day the situation is unfolding. And so we're going to keep monitoring to see exactly what's happening. But a massive war call-up happening in Russia.
It's quite interesting. The other thing as the UN General Assembly is meeting is the fact, and we've said this here countless times, we have said since the Second World War, never again would we allow these atrocities. There are thousands who have been killed in this conflict here, and yet it rumbles on, and thousands more will suffer if this doesn't come to the end very, very soon. Yeah.
And as you talked about that, and never again, yesterday the world celebrated International World Peace Day, and it occurred to me that 59 years ago, Emperor Haile Selassie stood up and he said to us that until that entire speech that was made famous by Bob Marley,
the dream of lasting peace.
Yes, and
we remember
59 years later, we are celebrating International World Peace Day.
And he's right, he was a prophet.
With the theme of ending racism.
Yeah, he was a prophet.
With the UN Secretary General bemoaning the fact that racism is undermining development.
And we can talk a little bit about that. It remains a fleeting illusion.
To be pursued. Never attained.
Yeah. Haile Selassie. There's where we are. But
6 years later, still relevant.
In other issues, thanks, Lance. In other issues we're following, we're still tracking this one in Iran with that activist that was killed, 22-year-old Masha Amani, who was killed, and the protests that precipitated. They've torched a police station now, and Iran is a very, very religious state. She was detained for not wearing a headscarf, not wearing a hijab, and subsequently had to be rushed to hospital and died. And then the folks there are not taking lightly this at all. So they've torched the police station, and we're watching where this is going. We're really watching this one.
Yes, you have to, because these things have the ability to spin out, and we're gonna keep monitoring it.
Correct. And again, that's just one of the other things that we are tracking. One of the other things, and that's really brewing, folks. That one there is a tinderbox and could get out of control.
Could explode.
Yeah, any given moment. Another issue that we're following is that the IDB, and the IDB seems to be in the press for some not too good reasons these days. There's been a probe into some misconduct by the head of the IDB, and it seems as though they're going to oust him. He seemed to have had, because of the allegation that were leveled against him and the investigation that was done, seemed to be pointing that he indeed had a relationship with a staffer. And it's only we slack in this side of the world. Some people, they have strict rules concerning having relationship with people on the job. They want to keep focus on what you actually came to the organization to do.
To be paid.
Right?
What you're paid to do.
What you're paid to do. If we will hold to these tenets, a lot of ministers gone,
This is true.
A lot of bosses gone. So the IDB, the president here for the IDB has found himself in some hot water because he couldn't keep himself to himself, and he seems to be on his way out, because they said there is a I saw another report that says that there is a consensus now that he should go.
Yes, I saw.
And he's in a terrible place.
Right, and so we're gonna update you as to when that final decision is made.
Yeah, he's in quite a terrible place. Another issue that's brewing, folks.
Yeah.
This one here, Mexico, they've had about 2 earthquakes in the last week.
Yeah.
But the Mexicans seem to be different, because the road and all seem to have been broken up with this earthquake. People just standing up. I don't want to stand up like the crap we're seeing in that graphic there. You know, so they're telling us there's been a strong nighttime earthquake jolts. You know,
Joel's sleeping Mexico.
Yep. One death reported, and this is brewing. You know, we get some tremors on this side here, but for the longest while, nothing to cry about. But our thoughts and prayers are with our Mexican brothers and sisters.
And we're, it's hurricane season. Seems to be earthquake season. There's so much happening. All at once, Sharon. What's
the other issue?
What else is brewing?
The other issue brewing, folks.
As we were saying, Hurricane Fiona hits Turks and Caicos as a Category 3 storm, and some serious devastation happening there in the Turks and Caicos. We recall that also Puerto Rico experienced some of the
Jamaica bracing
effects.
Grenada is bracing too for
Grenada.
some.
And so, our thoughts and prayers are with our brothers and sisters in the CARICOM.
Not only these storms making landfall, both seem to make landfall.
There you go. And we're going to be tracking that. We seem to have had some of the spin-offs at our end, the tail ends of this, with some heavy rains and winds in certain parts recently, but we're going to keep monitoring it. Definitely so.
And another issue we're following in the region this morning, is this one. These guys ahead of us.
Yep. Grenada establishes commission on cannabis legalization and regulation. And, this is something that we have been advocating for here in Guyana. We had proposed a bill which was, for all intents and purposes, shelved. And now the government has proposed a bill which, interestingly, does not deal with legalization per se, but deals with the decriminalization of the possession of small amounts.
Correct.
And so really, we are still a step back.
Correct.
Of the advancements that are happening. In Jamaica, you're legally allowed a certain number of plants, etc. Because I think the science really has overtaken all of the stigmas that have been attached to this herb. We're seeing now that it's a massive billion, if not trillion-dollar industry in North America. So certainly.
And with the way the stress level operates in this country, I might need some plants myself shortly. But the notation we have here says that this establishment of this commission is in keeping with the transformative policy of the government to legalize cannabis within the legal and regulatory framework, develop the cannabis industry, and maximize the potential of hemp and its byproducts. As Amanda said, we seem to have shelved the cannabis the bill that we brought to the National Assembly, and then hemp came out of nowhere.
Yes, hemp came out of nowhere,
right.
and the thing about the hemp bill, though, Sherrod, is when you look at it, you will see that it is very lopsided and one-sided, and it does not live up to the promises that this government made to the people, because they would have given folks the impression that if you were a small farmer and you have land, that you can get into hemp production. But what they have not said is just how expensive it is to do that. The cost of hemp seeds alone, whether the government has the infrastructure to make sure that the hemp that is being produced is not of a certain level so that it qualifies, or that it has the requisite level of THC and all of that. So we have no idea what the institutional arrangements for monitoring it is. And so, the government continues to just put forward legislation without that rigorous background work.
And I'm happy you said that, because the authorities in Grenada, they're telling us that a former senator, Rolanda McQueen, she's going to be chairing this body, and it's going to be made up of, it's going to comprise of experts in law, medicine, religion, business, youth development, and also some of the service providers from non-governmental organizations. So clearly, they're very serious about, bringing some robust policy to bear where cannabis production is concerned. And we got to move in this direction, We got to move in this direction, because if everything is politics, so God, sometimes.
Yeah, because look, and not to labor on the legislation, but when you look at it, for example, the power is with the minister to determine which regions could be used for hemp production. So if the minister excludes Region 10 from that declaration, it means that people in Region 10, though they may have access to acres and acres of land, will not be able to put farms. So again, you leave it up to political dictates, and the PPP has clearly shown that you can't trust them to make equitable, impartial, fair, and just decisions. You know,
because so parking this in a select committee isn't gonna do it. Might as well you just say we don't like the thing and kill it one time. But CARICOM did some extensive work. On cannabis in the region and how the science has overtaken all of the kinds of stereotypes we had. People who use cannabis, the science has overtaken that, and how we should regulate the industry. But we seem to be more interested in hemp than that, and that's how that's going on that side. But finally, in the region, folks, you know, some of you got to pay special attention to this, because the former First Lady in Honduras got 14 years in prison for fraud charges, right? And you know, in some countries, the National Assembly give the First Lady money to do X, Y, and Z. Well, First Lady here doing show and story, you know, 14 years, you know, the other one shop out government people money and fly out and friends and family and favorites and so on. You know, watch yourself here, you know. But it just underscores to me how in some places the law matters. Following the law matters. Good governance matters. And if you can't do that, you're going to be held accountable.
Right. And, you know, like the Attorney General for New York said, nobody is above the law.
Correct.
No one is above the law. And it's very sad that here, you know, sometimes we tend to wink at some things and then we relentlessly go after the most minor of things, and the big fish are left to swim. It's very unfortunate, and it happens, I think, because by and large as a society we do not speak up enough about it. Brings to mind the Bascom case. You know,
some things defy all logic. I did say finally in the region, but I think we have one more on this, and this is one we're following because this is interesting. The Trinidad Court of Appeal told the DPP's office, get your act together. Get your acts together. Please and thank you. There's a particular case they're dealing with. I'm not going to call them because it's not relevant necessarily. But there's a particular case that they were dealing with. And it has been on the book since about 2019. And then when it came up for hearing before the Court of Appeal, the counsel for the litigant said that they weren't ready. Right? And the Court of Appeal said no. No. Right? This matter is on the book since 2019, you know, and you got to be ready. And so, again, they said to the DPP's office, this foolishness cannot work. You know, again, this is a kind of robust.
The checks and balances that you have in a system. But here, you have just a complete breakdown. And I think we spoke about the other day when the roll-on effect that it had of President Jagan, as she then was, throwing that legal document, that court order over her shoulder.
Not nice at all.
The symbolic disregard for that. And so it's really, really, you know, sad that we have people on remand for how many, you know,
a long time.
Years.
A long time.
So we have to get it right. We have to get it right. Folks, as we turn our attention locally now, this is quite sad. My Coney farmer, Richard Prasad, he was killed after a row over a tractor collision. And they were all buddies, you know, drinking buddies, the report tells us. And, you know, the human life in this country is so cheap. It's so cheap. It is.
You will think it's some intractable issues, some big, difficult issues. People losing their life for
$500 on a parking space, and somebody is stabbed to death. There is a simmering discontent just below the surface.
Like people just waiting for you to jam them.
Like, and
if
you don't get it under control, this place is going to implode.
Implode. Yeah.
Gonna implode.
Yeah.
Savage Rizal.
Slightest thing, people ready.
You know, we see Savage. It's a long time since we've seen Savagery. Good
Yeah.
morning and welcome.
Savagery's come by every now and again.
Every now and again.
I wish it's probably
not
at
as
work
regularly
and
as
taking a peek.
Amabel says the punishment is too light. Peter Jeffrey said, look at the story with the permanent secretary of the Amerindian Affairs Ministry.
Bishop Jeffrey, very good morning, sir. How is
Very,
London?
very good morning. You know, Warnella Garnett.
Yeah, all the other folks.
There's a lot going on.
Quite a country we're inhabiting here. And oh boy, you know, Amanza was remarking to us this morning that after a while dealing with some of these issues, oh my Lord, you got to protect your mental space, you know.
You do. You absolutely do.
You got to protect your mental space in this country.
You have to, because you're seeing every day. It's boiling over. And so our thoughts and prayers are with the family of the deceased. You know, they've lost a father, a husband, a son. Yeah. And so our thoughts and prayers are with them. Yeah.
You know, the hundred of folks who are joining us, including Commissioner Joan Ramashendo, Local Government Commissioner.
Good morning,
we invite you folks to share the live.
Yeah.
Share. Smash that emoji button, folks. And let's get on with it.
There's a raging war going on in the comments.
We love it.
With Parmenan Shivnat. Good morning, Parmenan.
Fight them.
You know, good morning. And you know, you should probably scroll back to the top of that of the program where we address the issue of the naming of the country.
But
you know, while we should too.
And we in the aviation sector, folks, and I know you have some expertise here.
Yes.
We saw one of Jack's planes run off an airstrip in Itteringbank overnight. And it seems now almost, if not on a daily, on a weekly basis, there's a plane mishap. You know, if it wasn't this one, neither mere, but the plane did run off into some shrubs and bushes and so on.
Yeah, and we're just thankful that nobody was hurt.
9 persons were on board.
Seriously injured. And, you know, we're just grateful. That, you know, it could have been worse. We're thankful to God that it isn't. Yeah. And I'm sure the civil aviation, as is the procedure, will do an investigation and issue whatever recommendations and corrective action that would, you know, they would need to take. Yeah.
But again, we got to be careful. Like, I don't know if I have to go to Itteringbank, must catch a plane or a boat. Because, like, I won't feel safe either way. You know?
I know.
You're in water. You're in the air, you're using the road. I mean, like, we were safe.
Well, you know, I am from that view that unless the Lord watches, the watchman
watches
in vain.
I give up reading. So I wonder what happened. I just, you know.
But, you know, it's very interesting that there are some people who have chosen that off-the-grid life. They don't listen to the news. They don't read the newspapers. Yeah. They just...
they exist.
You know?
They exist. Some people are just too busy to just trying to eke out a living to concern themselves with some things.
Absolutely.
So we want to watch this in the aviation sector because that can't be good for anybody. Right. I mean, God was with those folks with that aircraft, and probably a good pilot too. But we definitely got to watch that. And I would love to know what distracted him. You know, probably seeing the raging debate in the comments. You know, Turkey. You know.
No, but you know, I love to address these things head on because we, at least for me and yourself, I know personally, you don't shy away from mistakes. If there was a mistake made, you own up to it, you apologize, and you move on. That is what humility and growth is about. So, you know, I mean, for the trolls who want
if you get detained by mistake, this government are moving. This government are moving, you know, talking about mistakes. Reminds us a lot of corruption in Region 6. Dr. Veersamy, quote unquote, Dr. Veersamy, Ramaya, and he has resigned from the President's Task Force in Region 6 for the second time.
Again.
For the second time.
Again.
Here the answer. Let me come off of Turkey. Right? Let me go in Region 60A. Region 60A. Right? Omaya, after the first incident, he said they got a lot of skullduggery. Corruption, he said, happening in Region 6. The report suggests he was coerced by the president, the vice president. He said he spoke with them, and Nigel Damlal. This is a whole strain. Don't embarrass me. Whole strain. Right? We can distract from all the corruption. with this earphone and go at UN and say, Turkey, we can distract them.
Hold on.
Right,
We're gonna make a big fuss about this because, we want that to occupy their minds because they don't want us to know what is happening
in Region 6, which is
Region
Calgary.
6.
Friends,
this
family,
is not
favorites.
from us. This is from one of their key supporters.
Yeah. But Remiah said he told them, because the folks on the ground not listening to him, they told him to report to them directly.
Right.
But he said, no, the corruption is too much.
Yeah, and when you report to them,
he said too much.
Nothing is being done.
No, some of the people themselves who you got to report to.
So much going on in Region 6, for example.
Yeah, Region 6.
One of the points, he was making is, look, this thing about the part-time jobs.
Yes.
He continues to make the point that it is not viable. It's a short-term solution. And that is not what people need. People need long-term interventions that will enable them to establish themselves and their lives and raise their children and support their families. We're getting reports of the massive corruption involved in the part-time jobs.
And that's what he was pointing out. He said the system in Berbice is corrupt. I hope I called it right because no people from Berbice say Berbice.
As long as you say Berbice, we good. Berbice, we are.
But so, I am
in Berbice.
I am trying to find a notation here that suggests that a minister of government, I want to get the name right, that's why I'm checking, had their own issue with part-time and temporary jobs. Mm-hmm. That was the Turkey moment. Mm-hmm. Is it part-time? Is it temporary jobs? And the person said, no, it's not temporary jobs, it's part-time.
A couple of things are happening here. We are finding that, one, the government, even though they required the people to go open bank accounts, they have never paid the salaries into an account. So there is no way of tracking for sure whether a name that appears on the list of persons employed, they're actually working.
As a matter of fact, what Susan Rodriguez, the minister who was making a big fuss against part-timers, against temporary jobs, says that first of all, they're not temporary jobs; they are part-time jobs. So there is security. Security tenure for
oh my goodness,
for part-time jobs. Yeah, there's security of tenure for part-time jobs. See, on the fixed establishment apparently.
In which part?
I don't know. But you see, we can stand to be corrected if you put.
And the other complaint that somebody from Region 6 gave is that they're not getting pay slips in some places. So they're not sure if, for example, their NIS is being paid.
Yeah.
They have no idea whether.
So if there's security, those things should be paid.
NIS is paid.
Right? And if you're not on the fix, then gratuity might come into. I don't know if you get part-time. The minister says there is security. I don't know if it's security at the gate, if it's security of tenure or what, but the minister says there is security. One of the other things brewing, folks, not going to be detained by that. Nigel Hughes of Hughes Fields and Stobie says that there is no reason given. This came out in court recently for the DPP for the withdrawal of private charges against the crime chief. Right? Well, we examined this the other evening on our program, and we said no. The crime chief has joined an elite group of people who got their charges dropped, no reasons given, no questions asked. It's just who you know in this country. Who you know, no reasons given, struck.
And these are the things that really ought to detain us.
Yeah.
These are the things that ought to really
DPP. DPPA.
You see why you can't keep a straight face with this man?
Sorry to distract you.
No, but seriously, this is going to the gravamen of the foundation of our society. are we going to be a nation built on law and order?
Yeah.
Or we are not.
We've got bigger struggle.
Covering up corruption in the police. Who does that benefit? Certainly not the average man.
No, the police force chaplain. Because if he when he pray about corruption, he seems to know what he was talking about. He's a prophet.
It is disturbing, and while you may speak of it lightly, it's deeply distressing.
Correct.
You have to give reasons. One of the when you do admin law and constitutional law, particularly administrative laws, they tell you that a power is not without fetter.
Yeah, I did admin law with Justice Messiah, former Chancellor.
Keith Messiah, one of the best to do it.
Yep.
One of the best to do it. And so when you have
there's nothing like an unfettered discretion.
There's nothing like an unfettered discretion.
There are checks.
There are always checks and balances. And so when you arrogate to yourself a power that says, I can do this and I don't have to give reasons, you undermine the very foundation. This is why Lady Justice holds a balance in her hand, And
it's blind.
And it's blind. There's a reason why that is the symbol for justice. And so we are in trouble. We are in serious
trouble. And we ain't coming out no time soon. And having said that, the segment follows is what he said, she said, they said. And this morning we're featuring Nigel Hines, because Nigel Hines had a very, very strong letter in the press about racism locally, and especially institutionalized racism by the PPP. Now, Ashley Singh wailed into him, saying that it's because he didn't get a position someplace, he vexed and something of that nature, and that's why Nigel Hines spoke out. But Nigel Hines is now joining more and more Guyanese in saying that what the PPP is doing is wrong. And we could start with the firing of public servants of a certain color and hue and texture. When they came in, we could look at the distribution of the national patrimony, COVID cash grants, farmers cash, you name it, and you see a lot of foolishness happening. Now, Nigel Hines in a letter in Kaisho, at least this morning, in responding to Ashley Singh, he said the head of the letter is Minister Ashley Singh provides a disingenuous, hollow and cherry-picking defense for the burgeoning racist policies by the PPP. Now my spine started tingling, just haven't read that. In this letter by Hines, he says it must be established and normalized in Guyana that African Guyanese are not users of wood and draughts of water and only fit for crumbs and scraps. I'm absolutely not interested in rubber stamping or window dressing positions that sends the wrong message to Guyanese, especially African Guyanese. And in this letter is published another letter that Nigel Hines would have written to Ashley Singh when he was offered a position on a board. And Nigel Hines makes the point, I want to be chairman of this board or that other board. And I see no harm in that. If you know your worth, I can just come here as a rubber stamp. Right? And he outlined his demands. If I'm chair, the board needs a budget, I must be able to, with the board, to hire and fire. We ain't just rubber stamping. Right? And now Ashley Singh says, it's because Hines didn't get some position, he's now speaking out on behalf of the government.
Yep.
And it seems that they underscore the very thing he's complaining against. Right? And he said, he makes a point to Amanda before your intervention. He says, when I wrote to the press on issues that were favorable to you, I'm not a racist.
I was going to make the exact point, because you would recall that Nigel Hines was one of the key supporters of the government during that 5 month of the now government during that 5 month election in Broglio. And so for him now to be saying what he is saying, I salute him. And he demonstrates a rare capacity to say what is on his mind, irrespective of who thinks what. And the government, once again, shows their hand in that what do they rush to do? They're good at propagandizing. They're good at distracting people from the real issues with fluff. Ashley Singh rushes to discredit Nigel Hines. Bascom comes out with damning allegations. They rush to discredit him instead of looking at the seriousness of it and understanding the effect of it. And so kudos to Nigel Hines. He calls it as he sees it. When the AP and UFC is wrong, he says it. When the government is wrong, he also says it. And by God, if that is an attitude that more of us, more of us, because he's an accountant. He's exceedingly qualified in that area, and I'm sure he will feel it because that is the modus operandi of this government. If you speak out against them, you can't work. And I'm glad he hit the nail on the head as it relates to tokenism, because he says I'm not going to be window dressing. So you're not going to point to me and say, look, you are a picture of us being inclusive, when the reality is that your racism is burgeoning,
Correct. And finally, folks, and the big issue, as Amanda says, respect and manners to Nigel Hines. Bumbling here fun on the world stage, and we ain't talking about Turkey, Turkey. We're talking about some of the policies that they're putting forward, and whether some of them are having any coherence. They seem to, I just don't like how Irfan is trotted out to be a mouthpiece for other people's positions on issues. And one of them that we're looking at this morning for the big issue is the fact that, let me put it up properly. Ali told the UN that fossil fuels remain necessary to facilitate energy transition. Now, you have a policy currently where they're pumping everything. And they've gone into overdrive now because of the UN's emerging position that we got to put a cap on how we do this, right? And their position is that we got to bring out this oil at any cost. The other side of that is trying to be good environmental stewards. Well, that is something they haven't been very good at all. And of course, amongst you know about issues of flaring, we know the issues of the mangrove, it's they want to, they say, suck cane and blow whistle all at the same time. And it's a delicate balance you're trying to find here.
And exactly. And that is, you've hit the nail on the head. How do you achieve that delicate balance between exploiting your resources and doing it in an environmentally friendly, sustainable manner? And we have not yet found that balance. And in fact, what you see in the policies of the government is that they're veering away from this issue of environmental stewardship. Because, of course, there's a larger geopolitical issue in terms of, okay, these developed nations were allowed for years to exploit their natural resources. And now that these developing states are being given that opportunity, it appears as though it's being taken away. That is a very legitimate observation. But we cannot move away from the fact that climate change is real. And we are on the Atlantic coast. And that our neighbors like Barbados, Trinidad, who are an hour and a half away from us, indeed, our coastline itself is threatened by climate change and global warming and the rising sea levels. And that our sister CARICOM nations have to have a certain reduction in the emission of fossil fuels, etc., in order to stave off impending disaster. And so how do you balance your need for development as against this existential threat, as it were, to small island developing states and those vulnerable nation states? The other issue is as well, because your natural resources are a finite issue, are a finite thing, The oil will run out at some point in time.
Correct is right.
So how do you then make sure that you are harnessing the benefits that are to be gathered for the time that you have? And this is where your local content comes into play. Because local content ought to be viewed, as it were, as an investment strategy, as it were, so that you maximize the capacity building and the growth in your country whilst you have this resource. This is why it is troubling. You see, this thing is so interconnected. This is why it is troubling. The regression that we're seeing in the non-oil sector.
Yeah, I was coming there. Sugar is down, bauxite is down, gold production is down. Right, well, you're holding 400,000 million.
400 million. You're right. And so you have the issue of the contracting non-oil sector, the dependency on the oil sector. Rice is down, sugar is down, fishery is down.
Yeah.
We see manufacturing. We see Jagdeo telling the fisher folk, look, try to find alternative means of
he told the sugar workers.
He told the sugar workers the same thing.
So we're in trouble.
And so there is a genuine cause for concern.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the weighty matters that we need to concern ourselves with.
Yeah. Well, talking about weighty matters, also on the world stage, as being reported by Kaitro News, Guyana seeks non-permanent seat on the UN Security Council. Now, everyone could barely hold the seat he got right now. You know, you want a non-permanent seat on the Security Council, as reported by Kaitro News today.
Look, there's nothing wrong with being ambitious.
Yes, true.
I think there's absolutely wrong with being ambitious. But I think what we have to do here in Guyana is to concern ourselves with our national development.
Mm-hmm.
With our national development. You know, I saw the statement issued for World Peace Day. And we spoke, you know, the president spoke at length about the One Guyana initiative, etc. And you're seeing here every day, people are flogging the racism that is happening. You've noticed that.
But it's well Guyana.
But you've noticed that a key theme in everything that the diplomatic community is now saying, they're talking about inclusivity. They're talking about equity.
Yeah, but they got to move beyond talking. And it must be demonstrated. You got to move beyond talking, because Ashley Singh run out behind Hines talking.
No, but you know,
right? And we could go through finance. And if we take a camera through finance,
but this is
you might be surprised.
But this is where you see I have an issue, because it is for us, and we keep saying that our deliverance is not going to come from the east, the west, the north, or the south. It has to come from within. Mm-hmm. And so we as a people, we have to recognize that the needle is shifting. And we there have to use that, buckle up our shoelaces and stand up and be courageous and speak out. Because people are seeing that there is racism, but to the degree that you sit down and you say nothing, you are complicit.
Yeah.
The US, I'm sorry. EU, I'm sorry. Canada, I'm sorry, does not have any duty to come in here and fight for us and for us to stand up for ourselves. They have their interests to protect. Guyanese, we have to look after our interests. And a part of that is holding this government accountable.
We got some big issues. Folks, we got some big issues we got to tackle. Racism is one of them. And you know, with this whole oil and gas, predominantly now, bonanza we have, and this newfound wealth, a lot of folks are coming here. They're telling us we need about 150,000 workers to really man the sectors that are going to be developing. Mm-hmm. Now, we could be in our own country and tenants if we don't have good immigration policies, if we don't have good security. Mm-hmm. You know, we bursting at the seam right now with crime. And a whole host of other things. You know, one of the complaints we had from Pritipal Singh investment staff yesterday is the fact they say, look, these Spanish people are here and being paid better than us. Right? We working here, and I heard employee after employee. It hurt my heart so much. I hit 20 years, 22, 23, 15, 10 years. I helped build this company. Working Sunday, not being paid for Sunday, a whole host of allegations they made. And people come yesterday, right, who are not even Guyanese, they say. Those are the allegations. And earn more, far more than we used there, and build this thing. And we're being treated anyhow. We're becoming tenants in our own country.
Well, the Honorable Mayor Motley came and she warned us of it. She warned us that that was a clear and present danger. And look, Guyana can't have a problem with immigrants. There are more Guyanese living outside of Guyana than in.
And I love it. I was going to circle back to that. I love it. I love it. I am frightened and I am enamored all by the same time.
Absolutely, because here now, you for the first time, you have people who are coming here in droves because of the opportunities that are presented. The duty of the government is to make sure that it is done in a manner that preserves the advantage for Guyanese, as the U.S. does.
You put it succinctly there. I have nothing
the
more to
U.S.
add on
does
that.
it. You know,
look
at Qatar, look at Dubai.
Yeah.
All of it, you go there, you work for years, you'll never become a Qatari citizen.
Yeah. But I love the confluence of cultures. You stand in the Regent Street and you see the whole complexion of the city changing. Right? Literally, the whole complexion. You take a brace any part of Regent Street and just listen, close your eye. And you hear about 15 foreign languages.
It's so interesting.
Right?
It's so interesting.
Look at the people selling hot dogs almost in every street.
The same experience you get in New York City, for example.
Right?
You stand on the street and there's just a cacophony of languages.
It's sad because,
happening.
As I said that, I remember how the police are harassing dog food sellers by DSL. When you go down Regent Street, you see different people selling hot dogs. I love going on the seawall and buying my little salchipapa. They call it cheese, please, and so on. And to be able to sample different foods from different countries, because those are the people who are coming. And then in Ireland, they're selling food.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're doing different stuff. I see, one day I went to Wash Bay on Sheriff Street, and they had some Rasta guys, manning it. The next day I see some Spaniards or somebody else, and they weren't dark-skinned Rasta people, and they were speaking a different language, manning the Wash Bay there. I say, I gotta, if I come back tomorrow, I could be some Chinese, But the whole complexion of the thing, you see the nail salons, and so on, people doing hair and makeup and so on. I love it. It can help us.
It can help.
It can help us.
It can help. It can absolutely help. But the government, the Ministry of Labor, I don't think that sometimes we stop to understand just the magnitude of work that we have to do if we are going to get it right. There are some people who would prefer for us to be detained over the pronunciation of a nation. But we cannot afford to be detained by those things. There is too much work to do, and there is too much at stake for us to allow the noise and so on to distract us from what it is that we are saying. We have to put all hands on deck, Sherrod. I don't know of
all hands on deck and not allow Freedom House to be issuing birth certificates and so on.
Thank you for raising that. That was most
all hands on deck. Right? But you can see Pierre Ronald with a statement on that. You can see Ashley write a letter on that. Freedom House, big issuing birth certificate and registering people and so on. Folks, some of y'all are so wicked you'd never see that as a problem. Never. The GRO workers, they're at Freedom House.
At Freedom House.
At government staff.
Yeah.
At Freedom House. And you can go and you can get your birth certificate in our.
And then, but you will never hear that.
Right? Then you go to UN,
some of the people who are in the comments, for example, will never condemn
talking a lot of lewdness too, early in the morning. Some of y'all mind real nasty.
So we have
Yeah.
a problem.
We got a big issue to fix.
But we will soldier on.
Yeah.
We'll make
Yeah.
it very clear we're not going to be deterred by distractions.
Yeah.
We have work to do. We have a nation to build. We have a government to hold to account. If we miss something, we are man and woman enough to come here and say we miss it. We missed that fact and apologize about it and move on because the work at hand is great. What did the man say? I have a great work to do. I cannot come down.
Oh, I thought it was Ali must go. Sorry. It was Ali must go. Same thing.
Thank you for joining us this morning.
Nehemiah
says we have a great work and we will not come down.
Not
come down.
Yeah,
You're not coming down.
That being said,
we will move on.
Right? Share the live, folks. Share the live. Smash that emoji button first. We want, come on, folks. Smash that emoji button. Let me see how you
like
feel up there. And we want the shares to be concomitant too, folks. Bantu King, share the live. Nicole, Margaret, and Ayabo, Romeo Cambridge, share the live for us, guys. Smash that emoji button. We want as many folks as possible to get valid, credible information.
Good morning, guys. Good morning. Guys, go there and make it a great day.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go there and make it a great day. Be your best selves.
Yeah.
Despite whatever comes.
Yeah. Upset the PPP.
Upset them. Make mistakes. Dust yourself up. Get up. Get back on there. But never give up. Never give up. So have a great day, guys.
Stay safe.